Welcome in, everybody. We're talking about day 2 just finished. We got rounds 2 and round 3 now over with. We have a little bit of reaction. There's so much to talk about. We'll try to keep it as short as possible, but there's many things that are going on. I've got my friend Tyler here again. We're at this Airbnb watching the NFL draft. Tyler, how's the day going so far for you, man?
It's going great. I can't believe they started so late with the draft. We're kind of up late and handling this here, but we're all about it. Let's get to it.
Absolutely, man. So the first guy I want to throw out here is going to be Adonai Mitchell going at the 52nd pick into the second round to the Indianapolis Colts. I loved this pick when it happened. Me, for one, have Anthony Richardson in my Dynasty League, and I love having more help, more weapons for him to succeed. If we look at what he did last season with the University of Texas, we're looking at he's a 6'4" wide receiver, 55 receptions for 845 yards and 11 touchdowns. We have to remember Adonai Mitchell started his career at Georgia, ended up wanting to move over here with his family in Texas. So now he started playing really well at the University of Texas. So not only did he do really well in Georgia, he did really well in the University of Texas. I just think he's a great wide receiver, and he showed out at the Combine. We talked about yesterday in yesterday's video where Xavier Worthy ran that 4.22 40. Well, guess what? Adonai Mitchell, he showed out himself at running a 4.3 40 in the 40-yard dash. So he's a wide receiver. He slipped in the draft. A lot of people thought that he can go at the back end of the first round. He ended up not. There were some question marks that kind of surrounded maybe some route running or things like that. But whatever the case is, I think the Colts got an absolute steal. I think Adonai Mitchell is going to be a huge proponent for this offense. Let's go ahead and just take a glance here at the depth chart. Like I said earlier, we have Anthony Richardson there at the quarterback position. Jonathan Taylor is going to be heading up that running back position. Jelani Woods, the 6'7" tight end. I'm super excited about him and what he can provide. And we're looking at the landscape of the wide receivers. You look at Michael Pittman Jr. that just signed a new contract this season. He's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. Adonai Mitchell sliding there at the 2. Josh Downs and Alec Pierce is going to be in the flex position, slot role. Maybe even some Alec Pierce, B-liners down the line. Either way it goes, I think they are loaded on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that Anthony Richardson is going to have a phenomenal season. You guys saw my rankings video not too long ago where I have Anthony Richardson up there as the number 2 dynasty quarterback, or number 2 or number 3 dynasty quarterback. I can't remember who I had, Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson. But either way it goes, I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. So, Tyler, who's the first guy you want to talk about on day 2 of the draft?
I tell you, I was really intrigued by the Bills and the Chiefs transaction that happened. So I was watching to see, and as well as the rest of the country, watching to see who the Bills were going to take to address their wide receiver needs now that their entire receiving core has been revamped over the offseason. And they went and addressed that early on in the second round at the 33rd pick with Keon Coleman. Now, obviously, they weren't looking at a speedy guy like Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs. They were looking for more of a bigger contested catch guy, and that's what they got here. He's 6'4", had 50 receptions for 658 yards and 11 touchdowns last year with the Florida State Seminoles. I think this guy is electrifying. I think he has fantastic hands. I think that he could be looked at as kind of a heavier version of AJ Green. And I looked that up. He actually weighs about 10 pounds heavier than AJ Green did, but at 6'4", same height. Think of somebody who can make those acrobatic catches or go up and catch the ball at its peak. I think the Bills really addressed that need in their depth, and looking at that, we've got Keon just right there, slotted right at the top of the chart. There's no one else that's going to be able to compete with him for that position. You combine that with Dalton Kincaid at the tight end position, and the running back group is looking really strong with James Cook leading that off. Josh Allen has him a brand new weapon and somebody he can just throw that ball up and allow him to go up there and catch it. I'm excited to see what Keon Coleman does in the NFL.
Oh yeah, I think Keon Coleman, I'm telling you, man, this guy, he can make some catches that kind of get you out of your seat, and that's what you want as a Bills fan, right? You guys lost Stephon Diggs, and now you want something that's going to sit in there and say, why do we need to buy tickets? Why do we need to watch our team? Well, Keon Coleman can get some butts out of the seats and yelling and just having excitement because he can make some fantastic catches. And with Josh Allen's strong arm, that's going to be crazy. That was a really good pick. So the guy I want to go over, I'm going to stay in the wide receivers here, but we're going out of Western Kentucky. Malachi Corley with the Jets. Now he's taken at the 65th overall pick in the 3rd round. I think they're just getting some more tools for Aaron Rodgers. I think that was a great pick. You know, this guy, he can get in and out of his breaks very, very quickly. I love watching a lot of his film. We're looking at some of the stats at Western Kentucky. We look at Corley was a 5'11" type wide receiver, 79 receptions for 989 yards and 11 touchdowns. And when I look at this guy play, and I'm looking at some type of wide receiver that Aaron Rodgers wants to throw to, I'm looking like a Randall Cobb type prototype with him. We all know that Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay loved Randall Cobb, loved throwing him the football. Malachi Corley really reminds me of Randall Cobb. Let's just look at the depth chart as of right now. We definitely see Aaron Rodgers there at the top. Breece Hall coming in right there. We got Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams should be the number 1, number 2 wide receivers. I put Malachi Corley at 4. I do like what Xavier Gipson did do last season. So Malachi Corley should start out the season on the depth chart as the 4th wide receiver. And then we're talking about the tight end position, Tyler Conklin as well. I know a lot of people, including myself, had Brock Bowers being mocked over there to the Jets if they were going to take any type of offensive weapon. They ended up not going that way, but that's completely all right. They ended up still getting a pass catcher for Aaron Rodgers, and they ended up with Malachi Corley, somebody that can really make a lot of fantasy football. Now, if you're in a PPR league or half PPR league, Malachi Corley should be able to get you quite a decent amount of yards. We'll have to see what type of opportunities he does have. Does he pass over Xavier Gipson on the depth chart? If he does and he owns that slot role, I think Malachi Corley could be a solid fantasy producer for your team. So Tyler, I think you got another person you want to go over for this day 2. Who you got, man?
Yeah, I'm going with Blake Corum at pick 83 overall by the Los Angeles Rams. Very, very questionable, or potentially questionable pick at this point. I think they had some other positions that they could have filled, and especially when they had Kyren Williams on site, who last season had 5.0 yards per carry, had 11 rushing touchdowns. He showed that he got hurt there for a little bit in the season, but he showed he could handle the ball and handle that backfield. Kyren Williams was drafted at pick 164 in 2022, but here we are at pick 83 with Blake Corum. He's a 5'8" running back out of Michigan, had 1,245 rushing yards last season and 27 rushing touchdowns. That is a correct stat. Absolutely ecstatic out of the backfield. And I was a little bit nervous about this pick, seeing as I have Kyren Williams in our own Dynasty League. But at second glance, I think that this could be more of a compliment to Kyren as opposed to taking away some of that fantasy production. I'm thinking of something like a change of pace back, like Devon Achane out of Miami, someone who can come in on 3rd downs, catch that long pass, take it to the house, or at least convert that to that 1st down. Blake Corum could be somebody you want to look at later on in drafts in redraft, possibly a 2nd or 3rd round pick in a dynasty league. Very interesting pick right here at 83.
Oh yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching Blake Corum at the University of Michigan all the way up to the national championship. I mean, this guy runs so good. The way his vision, probably the best vision I've ever seen from a running back out of college. I mean, I'm taking it that serious with this guy. I love watching him run the football. And there's another running back, one of my other top running backs in this entire draft class. We're talking about Trey Benson. He ended up getting picked over there with the Cardinals. I think it's a phenomenal pick. James Conner is probably going to have another 2 years there at the Cardinals before they can, be able to get rid of him without too much of a dead cap. But I think that Trey Benson, man, this could be a phenomenal dynasty pick as well. Just look at what he did last year. We're looking at Benson as a 6'1" running back, 905 rushing yards with 14 touchdowns alongside 227 receiving yards, and he only had 1 receiving touchdown on top of that. Trey Benson, somebody that I do expect to not be relevant, I would say, this year, but maybe as early as next year, starting to get a little bit more workload. I think that could be really good, going around a lot of pieces around Kyler Murray. Let's just look at the depth chart a little bit here. We're looking at Kyler Murray here at the quarterback position. We got James Conner obviously at that #1 guy, but how long can he do this? Kind of getting up in age, and he kind of gets injured sometimes. So, right? So Trey Benson could be a really good dynasty asset. I'd say probably starting in year 2. We already see that Marvin Harrison was taken over there as a #1 wide receiver. We saw him taken in the draft yesterday. Michael Wilson is going to be the #2 wide receiver, and then Greg Dortch into the slot. And we have Trey McBride, that tight end that really showed out last year. And don't forget about Tip Riemann was the other rookie tight end that they took. I think he's more of a run blocking tight end though. So, but overall, I'm liking what the Cardinals is doing. They rebuilding the entire offense here. I think the offense is starting to get potent. I'm hoping they end up getting maybe another wide receiver in this deep wide receiver draft class to really start to complement some of these guys. But overall, I'm liking what they're doing for Kyler Murray, and I think Trey Benson is just an addition to that. I think he runs very, very well. He's a hard-nosed runner. He can make things happen for your fantasy team. I am excited to see what he can do. But hey guys, that is just a short video doing over the reaction for just the day 2. That's round 2 and round 3 of the NFL draft. Guys, we're putting out multiple comments week in and week out, you know, on these videos that are coming out. And I'm gonna be going back and forth in those comments with you guys, right? So we're pumping out a ton of content on top of that to help you guys make the best lineups possible for you to ultimately win some championships. Make sure you guys are hitting the subscribe button as we cruise right along to 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you hit a like button and leave a comment down below. Who is y'all's favorite day 2 pick? I am curious to see what you guys think. I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. We'll see you guys next time.